All right, so today we're going to be taking a deep dive into something pretty interesting. You know those iPhones we all use?
Yeah.
Well, it turns out that
Ta-ta-ta.
Tata, the Indian company, yeah, most people know them for cars and tea, right?
Right.
Well, they're becoming a huge GCE player in how those iPhones get made.
I know, it's kind of wild.
It is.
Like, they just bought a majority stake in this iPhone factory in India.
Oh, you mean the Pegatron one?
Yeah, Pegatron, like 60%. And this isn't just any small factory either. Pegatron is one of the big guys assembling iPhones for Apple globally.
Exactly. I mean, this isn't even their first time getting into the iPhone game.
Yeah, right.
Like, remember last year? They acquired that Wistron iPhone factory.
Oh, right.
Now they've got 3 plants in India just dedicated to making iPhones. Like, they're going straight up against Foxconn.
Yeah, Foxconn, who's been Apple's main squeeze for, like, forever.
Yeah.
It's really interesting when you think about it from Apple's perspective, too. They've been wanting to get away from relying so much on China for manufacturing.
Oh, yeah, with all the trade stuff between the U.S. and China.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, they got to think about their supply chain, too.
Right.
Like, what if something happens and they can't get parts?
Makes sense.
So they need options. And India, they're looking pretty good right now. Skilled workforce, their economy's booming.
Yeah, India's on the rise for sure.
Big time. And then you got Tata. This is their chance to really make a name for themselves.
In the tech world, I mean.
Globally.
Yeah.
Making iPhones is a huge deal.
It's not easy.
No, you need some serious tech know-how. And Tata is showing they can do it. Who knows? Maybe they'll even start having a say in how future iPhones are designed.
Wouldn't that be something?
It would.
This shift could really change things up in a big way. For everyone.
Oh, yeah, totally.
More stable iPhone supplies, maybe potentially even prices go down a little.
Maybe even speed up how fast tech gets better. Who knows?
It really makes you think, like, if Tata really pulls this off,
Yeah.
we could see a whole new center of power for tech manufacturing in India.
That would be a game changer, not just for India, for the whole world.
No doubt. So we've got Tata making these big moves, Apple's switching things up, India's becoming this tech powerhouse. But what about Pegatron?
Oh, the company's selling their stake.
Yeah, are they, like, losing out here?
So that's the thing. The article we read mentioned that Pegatron was already thinking about cutting back on their Apple stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they've been having some issues. Seems like they might be changing their strategy, so maybe this is actually good for both of them.
How so?
Pegatron gets some cash.
Oh, right.
And Tata gets this amazing opportunity.
A win-win.
Yeah, potentially. But it does make you wonder.
About what?
Is this just the beginning? Are we going to see more big changes in how tech gets made? More companies switching partners?
Like whole reshuffling.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah. Things are definitely changing. I think this could be just the start. We might see even more companies trying to spread out their manufacturing, not putting all their eggs in one basket. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Like a safety net.
Exactly. And it all comes back to India. Like with this deal and Apple trying to move away from China, India's looking really good right now.
They're like the new hotspot.
Yeah, they're getting a lot of attention. Investors are pouring money in, they're pushing innovation, they're building a reputation for making quality stuff.
It's bigger than just iPhones, though, right? Like, this whole thing with Tata is just one piece of the puzzle.
Oh, definitely. It's about India becoming a major player, like a real force in the whole global tech scene.
Okay, so what does that even mean for, like, the average person? What kind of impact are we talking about?
Well, for one more, competition is always a good thing, right?
Yeah, how so?
Well, more companies means more people trying to come up with new stuff, better stuff, cheaper stuff.
More choices for us.
Exactly. It's like when a new restaurant opens up in your neighborhood.
Ooh, I like that analogy.
Right. Suddenly the other places have to try harder to keep you coming back.
Makes sense.
And if you think about it globally, this could mean whole new supply chains, new partnerships.
Oh, wow.
Maybe even a wave of new tech companies popping up, startups, entrepreneurs.
That's pretty exciting.
It is. We could see the way tech is made, used, even how we think about it, change completely.
So much potential.
Yeah, for real.
Okay, but let's get practical for a second.
Yeah.
What does this mean for people's jobs, for example?
More jobs, for sure. Not just in factories, but all kinds of stuff. Design engineering software, you name it.
So this is good news for people looking to get into tech.
Big time. And for anyone who likes gadgets and new tech, this could mean even more cool stuff coming out. And probably cheaper, too.
Like what?
Well, imagine India becomes like the place to make smartphones. We could see a flood of new phones with all the bells and whistles.
but way more affordable.
Exactly. Now, of course, there's always two sides to every coin.
What do you mean?
Well, when things change this much, there are bound to be some bumps in the road.
Like what?
Well, one thing is making sure that people are treated fairly. Working conditions are good. And what about the environment? We got to make sure all this manufacturing is done responsibly.
That's a good point.
It is. We as consumers need to be aware of where our stuff comes from and how it's made.
And make good choices.
Absolutely. And the other thing is all the politics involved. As India gets more powerful in tech, things could get a little messy.
On the world stage, you mean?
Yeah, new alliances, new rivalries. Who knows what could happen?
Sounds like we're in for a wild ride.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's exciting to think about all the good that could come from this, but we got to be ready for the challenges, too.
And it makes smart choices along the way.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And that's where being informed comes in.
Right, like knowing what's happening, understanding the big picture.
Yeah, so we can all make good decisions about the tech we use, the companies we support.
Right. So to recap, Tata's making big moves. Apple's changing their strategy, and India's on the rise.
All happening at the same time.
It's a global story,
Right.
and it's just getting started. But
Yeah.
before we wrap things up, I want to go back to something you mentioned.
What's that?
India becoming this tech hub.
Right.
What does that actually look like? What's going on over there?
Well, one thing that's really cool is all the energy, the entrepreneurship. You've got all these young companies starting up, coming up with new ideas, like
What kind of ideas?
all sorts of stuff. Finance, online shopping, artificial intelligence, you name it.
So it's not just the big guys like Tata and Apple making a difference.
No way.
Yeah.
It's coming from the ground up, too. All these Indian innovators, entrepreneurs, changing things from within.
That's amazing.
It is. And this is something to pay attention to, whether you're interested in a career in tech or looking for investment opportunities. India's tech scene is on fire.
It's a hotbed of activity for sure.
Hmm.
But how does all this tech stuff connect with the rest of India?
That's the really fascinating part. See, one of the things about India's tech boom is that it has the potential to bridge the gap between the cities and the countryside.
How so?
There are all these initiatives using tech to tackle problems in healthcare, education, even agriculture. It's about bringing the benefits of technology to everyone, not just those in the big cities.
That's incredible.
Oh,
So it's
God.
not just changing the lives of tech workers.
Nope. It's empowering communities all across India.
This is way bigger than just iPhones and factories.
It really is. It's about how technology is shaping an entire nation and its people.
Yeah, it really is amazing to see how technology can make such a difference for the better. I mean, we started talking about iPhones, but this is about way more than that.
For sure. It's about power shifting around the world,
Yeah.
and new economies popping up, and technology that can change lives. It can reshape everything we know.
It's a lot to think about, but it's pretty exciting too. So let's recap a bit. We've got Tata, this Indian giant making some smart moves, getting right into the heart of the iPhone world.
Right. They're not just putting phones together. They want to be a big player in the global tech scene.
Exactly. And this is happening because of all these big global changes. Apple wants to move away from China. India's ready to be a tech leader. And it's all happening while the world's getting more competitive and technology keeps getting better and better.
It's a lot going on.
It is. And for you listening, it's not just about maybe getting a cheaper iPhone someday. This could mean that India plays a much bigger role in the tech you use every day.
Yeah, your phone, your computer.
Maybe even the jobs that are available. And the whole balance of power in the world.
This is where things get really interesting. Think about it. As India gets more powerful in the tech world, how will that change your relationship with technology? Not just as someone who uses it, but maybe even as part of your career in the future.
That's a great question to think about. So much to consider. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning.